Okay, everybody, we're going to go into a little bit more involved use of the event dispatcher. This time, this one's going to be about 3 different actors interacting with each other. And from our first actor that we're going to interact with, it's going to give information to the very last actor through the middle actor. So this one's going to be a little different. This is all about our event dispatcher. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Now, while we're playing, everything's kind of dark, and you'll notice I have something set up over here, and I've got this little plate, this little button right here that doesn't do anything. It's kind of in the same trigger area as this door. So I'm going to hit the, oh, hey, look, there's another red button over there. I'm going to go over to it, and when I step onto it, it changes to a check. And if I look back, oh, now my button has turned green. So now that probably means I can use it. So let's see here. I'm going to step on it. Hey, sure enough, that allows me to turn on this light. So we have now used our event dispatcher to unlock something here, so we can use it here and turn on a light over here. So we have multiple actors that are interacting with each other through an event, through a couple different event dispatchers. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that, and then after this I'm going to have another assignment where you guys are just going to take this and build on it a little bit more. So let me go ahead, and we're going to build this over here to the side in this open area right here where we have some light. Just like before, I'm going to grab my player start. I'm going to drag it over to where we're working so I can see everything a little bit easier without having to walk over to it all the time. Hope you guys are doing the same thing. Just makes things a little easier. Now, I already have some things already built, just like you guys should keep thinking like, hey, I've already got parts of this built, right? So let's go into the actor blueprints we have here. I have BP lights. I do have a light that is turning on and off. I do have a 2-state light, so I'm actually going to make a copy of my 2-state light. So I'm going to right click on that. Oh, there we go. And duplicate. That's going to make a new one right here. I need this one to be BP underscore. I'm going to call this 2-state lock light. Let's see. Oh, I've got a space or something in there. Let's see. 2-state. Yep, I held down that. There we go. 2-state lock light. Okay, I think that'll work pretty well. It's thinking about it. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to be working on is the pad that goes with this. Just so I know that this is needs to be a little bit different, I'm going to go in and start altering this lock light here real quick. And let's just get rid of all the other stuff we don't need. Okay, so this one's already got the setup. So you guys have already made this light, or you're about to finish it, or you've already finished it. This one's going to be the light that gets unlocked at the end, doesn't turn on until we find the pressure pad that unlocks everything else. So we've got that one ready to go. On this one, I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one. I'm going to make the light fixture chrome, or just another version of that. And I don't want it to be purple, so I don't want it to get confused. Just a straight white one, so I guess that'll work. And then let's go back to this, and let's start looking. We're going to need a 2-state button platform. We'll need that, so I'm going to make a copy of that, because we do have something that is going to have a lock on it. So BP 2-state button platform. I'm going to put button lock platform. Okay. And that should make this a little bit easier to keep track of. Same thing here. I want to make sure everything looks different on this one. So I'm going to go into the button on this in the viewport. And since I did a white button there, I'm going to probably do let's just do a black button here. There we go. So it looks a little different. And then we'll also need another button, because we need to make an unlock button, like the thing that unlocks all the other pieces. So let's go back in here. And let's see, for that one, we're just going to need an event dispatcher that leaves from that space. So probably could use this original button plate. I'm going to duplicate this one, I'm going to call it BP button plate. Let's say I'm going to call this the lock button plate. I think I have the other one as two-state button plate, two-state button lock platform. Yep. Okay, I think this will work. And this one's going to end up with a little different setup because, as you noticed, whenever I stepped on the one that unlocks everything originally, it had another material on it. So let's start with this one. We've got plate pressed. We've already got an event dispatcher in here. And let's take a look at what we have. That event dispatcher doesn't have any parameters that are coming off of it. This particular one doesn't have anything coming off of it. So what I'm going to do is use this one to send over that we have unlocked things. We don't need to send multiple different types of information through this one in particular. So this one that just unlocks things, we can probably work with it as is. Let's go in here. The viewport is going to be something that's a little bit different though. Okay, we want to change the material on here, and initially the material needs to be that X. Okay, so we're looking through our materials here, and we're looking for the module disable mat. That's just a material, doesn't mean anything other than it'll show a red X on this button, which is what we want. And I'm going to make this outside cylinder a little bit more noticeable. So I'm going to set it up with, header HDR, disk material. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go with that. Just something to kind of make it set itself apart. And you can kind of see the stuff glowing through there. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to compile just so we save everything. And then what I want to do is go back into here. Now, what's going to happen is whenever the person steps onto the overlap, we don't really care about calling the thing yet, because what we want to do is change the material that's on there. So we're going to drag, as soon as we know that the FP simple character is stepping up there, we're going to highlight our cylinder 1, which is our button, and we're going to set material. Okay, set the material for that cylinder, actually for cylinder 1, not for cylinder 2. In fact, let's make it even easier for us to keep track of everything. Let's call that the button, just to make sure everybody's on board here. And we're going to drag the button out. If you've already got it, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you need to reset which thing this is looking at, which primitive this is looking at, which component actually this is looking at, then you can just drag in a reference from the side over there where the components list is, and then we're going to tie this back into here. Okay, that's the target. And then we can select from here what we want it to turn into. So from the view options, if this is too small, just click on the view options and you can increase the size. And since we want it to run from something that is has an X on it, there is one in here that has a check. So I'll look through here real quick, and we're going to find the one that has a check on it. There we are. There's a check. So now we have our check mark on there. So whenever this comes up, they'll be able to send this information off, and it'll say, okay, hey, this thing's changed, and we can also send off our plate pressed with that. So let's go back to our map here, and we're going to bring in, let's see, I'm going to go back to BP lights. This is our BP state lock right there. We have our lock button plate right here, which is the first thing we want to get to. And then we also have our light, which I want to bring out because we're going to need all three of these things kind of in the same space so we can keep track of everything. So there we go. This is currently not on, so I'm going to turn it on. It's not attached to anything yet. In fact, it almost doesn't seem like it's actually turned on. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple things there. But before we do that, I'm going to hit play, and I just want to take a look at what we have here. So here's our switch that's going to turn on our light. Here's our switch that as soon as we step on it, we get a check. See, that's kind of nice. Now, this one's already done. As soon as we step on it, we have unlocked everything, so we don't need it to change back. Okay, later on you can, and once we take a look at how you're going to set this one up, it's not going to be difficult to set this one up as something that has to have something sitting on top of it all the time for it to be unlocked. But for now, Let's see, we're going to take a look at a few things. The reason we got that is because we haven't hooked up the lock light yet. So that's why we're getting that issue. So we can go in and kind of take care of a few things there if we want to. Remember that the button pressed is going to be related to the button that's actually going to, or the platform that's going to turn this light on. So we haven't made any kind of relation to that yet. So if we want to change that so we don't get that error every time, I'm going to drag this one over a little bit closer just so we have it there, not too far away. And let's go back to our, let's see, I'm going to get rid of that and type in two-state lock. Okay, there's our light right there. Okay, there it is. Ah, it is on. Good. It was just underneath there. Okay, and currently it's purple. That's fine. We can keep it as purple. I was going to change the color on it a little bit, but yeah, good. The construction script is still working. We're in good shape there. Now, the other thing that this is going to be related to is this. Now, we changed the name of it for this light. So what we need to do is go into here. And since this button pressed is looking for BP two-state button, it's not BP two-state button anymore. It's BP two-state lock light. So we have to go in here. And we're going to do BP underscore two-state lock. Sorry, BP two-state button lock platform. That's the one we really want. There we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and do that. Now our unlock button is that one, and then this one's the black one that we just made with the white rim. That's the one that has it's going to turn on everything. So this is the one we want to have. Oh, it does say platform 1. Okay, well, I'm glad I checked that. So let's go back in. We're going to make one more change. BP underscore two-state. Whoops, got to make sure it's type things correctly. Platform 1. Okay, now that we have that, made some changes there. There we go. Go ahead and compile that. Give it a second. All right, we're getting a bad setup here. That's okay. That's because the event graph is not set up specifically for that event dispatcher currently. So, yeah, we're going to get some issues here. We're going to fix them. We're going to fix them. So initially, the lock is what we want to focus on. So this is our lock, right? It's going to change the color, the material on the button, and then it's also going to make a call. So from here, we want to make sure that the next thing, which is this lock right here, I want to make sure this is listening for the other button plate. So to do that, we need to add in a variable. You guys are probably going to be pretty up on what we might need to be doing here. In this case, we want it to go back to our lock button plate. So we're going to go in here and set this to be BP underscore lock button plate. There we go. And we're going to call this, let's see, we're going to call this lock button plate, just so we're all kind of looking at the same thing. We need that to be instance editable. Okay, so the eye lights up right there. We hit compile. We're probably going to be in good shape on this one. There's not a lot that has to go into this one. But then we can go back into here. And from this one, okay, from this one to this one, this is the one listening, right? This is the one we want to have listen. So we're going to have our eyedropper tool, and we're going to put it right onto that plate. So we can see it changed the BP underscore lock button plate right there. This plate, this button plate is listening for this one to send out its information so this one can start doing what it needs to do. All right, so we've got this one pretty much taken care of. Okay, this other button plate, we have a little bit of work to do on it because we actually want it to work whenever we step onto it and we step off of it. We want that light to turn on and off, but also we want this material that's on this to change color. So realistically, I think a black button might not quite be what we're looking for, but we could change the color or we could make it glow or something like that. We could even turn on another light, but just for purposes here, I'm going to make it easy. And I think we're just going to turn it to a nice green so you know that, oh, hey, something changed. Something's lit up. Something's usable now. Okay, so on this one, I want to go in and I want to edit the two-state button light. And from there, we already have it highlighted. I can just click on it here. Okay, And for the event graph, we do already have two different things set up. It's already set to look for the FP simple character. We're in good shape there. So what this is going to do whenever it says, hey, yeah, you know what, we can start using this now. What we want to do is drag off of here, and it's listening for the other thing to say like, okay, we can activate the light. If we, right now, if we wanted to, we can set this up so it's listening for that light. So if we go back in here and we're looking for the lock button plate, that's looking for that one. We have our plate pressed, it's calling out to it. It does have light on that's on here, and let's see, let's go to our light itself. Right now, if I was to compile this, it's having an issue, right? It's not liking what we're sending over. Just because button pressed has changed. So button pressed now is looking for BP2 state button platform 1. Okay, that looks pretty good. So since we changed that, we have to go in and change the bind event that's on here. So we want to go ahead and bring that button pressed out. We're going to get the button pressed. We're going to drag off of that. Whoops, there we go. All right, we're going to do bind event. Button pressed? No, I've already forgotten. All right, plate press, that's what it is. Okay, I got plates, I got buttons. Pretty soon I'll have silverware. Bind event, plate pressed. All right, there we go. That's already looking happier. It's already happy with what we have. All right, and then we're gonna have to do this again after we fix some things, but we just want to make sure this is working. Okay, we're gonna take off the event here, and we're gonna do a custom event. Add the custom event. As soon as we do that, it's gonna have a light on already on there. Turn the light on. Okay, and from here we can do exactly what we had before. We just had to change some things since the thing it's listening to is different now, of course. So this will work now. We hit play, and I walk up to this guy, and I would step, well, let's see, it's just going to stay on. All right, two-state bucket, two-state lock light. Let's see what it's saying here. Access none. Oh, I didn't tie it back to it. So if you see that access none, that just means that I didn't go in here and state which platform it's really going to be looking for. So now if I do Alt-P and play, it's going to turn on, and the moment I go on to it, it'll realize what it needs to be doing. So now it's working okay, you know. But we want to make sure that whenever we step onto it, that we have to step on this lock first, get our check, and then we can step over here and we can turn the lights on and off. Okay, so that's the big change that we're looking for now. Okay, so let's start working towards that. I'm going to make sure that's off to start off with. So most of the work's going to be done inside of the button lock plate. Okay, so this thing's listening for our event dispatcher plate pressed, and then this one's also called plate pressed. So as long as we know which switch plate it's associated with, you can use the same name for the event dispatchers. It's probably not a good idea just because it's, you know, something that can be easily confused. So we got to make sure we keep an eye on that. But other than that, you can use the same name for the event dispatchers. All right, so this one in particular is looking for this one. We're going to get play, and since we already know that it's using plate pressed, then we can do bind event plate pressed. There we go. And this one's just giving us the information that you stepped on the plate so we can activate other things. Okay, so we're going to go from here. We're going to do custom event like we usually do. Add custom event. Okay, and we'll see. Let's see, turn off lock is what we're going to call this one. And what this is going to do is we're going to need to make a Boolean variable so it knows to listen and change this particular thing, so we know that it'll unlock, it should show the new material. So we're going to call this unlock plate, and the unlock plate is going to be just a Boolean, so we need to make sure we change that over here. I'm going to go ahead and compile it, and from here what we're going to do is drag off this, and we're going to set this one because we don't already have a value that we want to use. We're going to set it. So unlock plate is going to be true, Okay, and what that means is as soon as this happens, we have this information. I'm going to drag off of here. We're also going to set material for the cylinder 1. This is something similar we ran into the other one. I'm going to call this one button, so we know that this is the button that we're trying to alter the material on. Right. Actually didn't need all that, but let's do set material for the button. Okay, drag that up a little bit. Now we might not need this unlock here, but I've got it just in case we want to use it down here for any reason. This one should only change once. It's not something we necessarily need to have it change back and forth, so it might be we don't really need this, but let's see. Okay, we're going to change the material here, and we want it to change to just something green so we know that it's active. All right, so yeah, I really don't think we're going to need this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it, actually. And we can get rid of the variable too if you want. We don't have to have that, but I'll leave it in there just in case. So now if we go in here and we hit compile, if we go up to this, it should not change. Now it's activating the light, but it should only change once we go over there. Now it's green. Okay, good. So everything's progressing like we want it to. The next thing we want to be able to do is have this only turn on if we have stepped on the unlock plate. Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm going to disconnect this, and let's see here. Actually, we probably do want to have that Boolean actor, because right in here I want this thing to check and see, is this unlocked? Okay, so I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to drag this out and we'll do a set. Okay, I'm going to have this connect. I'm going to have this go here. And now what this can do is that from here, if this cast to the FP simple character is true, and branch, this is kind of an if-then kind of sort of thing, we can drag off of this and put this into our condition statement so that this is true. If unlock plate is true, that's what the check mark means on there. If you see a check, that means it's true. If it's unchecked, that means it's false. So if we go here, we go to true, and that will turn our light on. Okay. Now, if it's false, we don't want it to turn our light on. Okay. So we're going to need to do the same thing here. Call plate pressed. We want to do Control W. Oh, there we go. That pops in a new one for us without having to do the Control V. We just do Control W. That'll take care of Control C and V. This should turn the light off and on. Otherwise, it'll turn it off, period. Okay, so this should be enough for us. Let's go ahead and check it real quick. Let's see how this works. Okay, hit play. All right, so we can't turn it on right now, but we step over here. We check that, and now we can turn the light on and off. Okay, one more time just for the cheap seats. We can't get this thing to turn on until we find the other switch, right? This light doesn't change, the light doesn't turn on, the button down here doesn't change at all. We slide over here, oh, we see both of them change, so now we know we can use it, and we can turn the light on and off. Okay, so this one's a little bit more extensive in what it can do, but still just adding a little bit more onto what you already know. Okay, the next one is going to be all up to you. I'm going to give you guys a task to take care of by the end of the week, and it's going to involve doors and lights and all sorts of fun stuff. So be ready for that. If you can tackle this, you'll be able to tackle the next assignment without any trouble. All right, fun stuff, right? All right, cool. Let's have some more fun with UE4. We'll talk to you later.